Today is a deadline for hundreds of thousands of small business owners across Canada. This is the last day to repay loans for CEBA, the Canada Emergency Business Account, and to get up to $20,000 off the loan forgiven. But some say they still can't afford to pay the money back. Duncan Robertson is with the Canadian Federation of Independent Business. So I'm curious, what is small business saying to you today about the deadline?
Well, today is no doubt a hard day for a lot of Nova Scotian small businesses. According to our data, around 20 to 25% of small businesses across Canada will miss out on today's deadline. That's reflective of Nova Scotia's small businesses as well. So it's a significant portion that unfortunately will not receive that forgivable portion of up to $20,000, which many are counting on. And they're going to have to be paying 5% interest for the following years up until the final deadline of December 2026. And for many, that will be the straw that breaks the camel's back.
And so in Nova Scotia, we're talking, what, dozens of companies?
Oh, far more than that. Around 16,000 small businesses took CEBA. So around a quarter of that, possibly around that. So it's definitely significant, and there'll be, we'll see it on our main streets, and it's going to be a difficult time for many small businesses. And we really hope that consumers will have the support of small businesses as they usually do. So we're hoping that it isn't that way, but unfortunately, it could be a significant impact.
And so what options do they have if they feel they can't repay it right now? What are they looking at?
So if they aren't able to fully repay it by today, they are then looking at, they could, if they have secured a private loan through that financial institution by today, they will then have until March 28th to be able to fully repay that CEBA deadline. But then, of course, on that private loan, they're paying the high interest rates that we're experiencing right now. And again, if they totally miss out on today's deadline, they will have until December of 2026 to repay the up to $60,000 of debt at a 5% interest each year.
But is that unreasonable to ask a company or expect a company to do that kind of thing?
Well, under normal circumstances, it is quite understandable. But if we look back at the last few years, it's been a very difficult time for small businesses. 2023 was by no means a year of recovery. And if we look at 2024, it is going to be another difficult year for small businesses. There's going to be increase in costs and taxes, wages, insurance, fuel as well. So it's not a great time for small businesses. So, when it was first introduced, the CEBA loan, we're expecting an economic boom at the end of the pandemic. That definitely did not materialize. And it's just a very hard time for small businesses to get by. Many are trying to simply just keep water or keep above water. And the CEBA loan is really an anchor on some of them trying to be able to recover. And it is going to have a significant impact on our small businesses.
And there's been some attempts to made. There have been some extensions, for example, to try and cushion the blow for people. Do you think another extension is in the offing?
Unfortunately, we do not believe so. We've asked the federal government to extend the deadline for the forgivable portion by a year, so by December of this year. We've had support from business organizations, chambers of commerce, all 13 premiers in Canada, as well as 3 federal parties: the NDP, the Bloc Québécois, the Green Party as well. But unfortunately, the federal government is really ignoring the pleas of thousands of small businesses, and we expect if they did not get that year-long extension, it could put around 250,000 small businesses across Canada at risk. So it's very concerning that the government is not, seeming to be open to expand the deadline, and it's going to be a huge impact for our economy. If we look at Nova Scotia, small businesses employ around 93% of the private sector. They also across Canada, small businesses make up over half of our GDP. So the economic realities are there. We think that the federal government should consider those, but unfortunately, it doesn't seem that way. And it's going to be a difficult few years for some small businesses to miss out on the deadline today.
But at the same time, would yet another extension really be fair to the majority of small businesses in this country that did repay the loan on time?
Absolutely. But again, if we look at some of the sectors that were hard hit, your local restaurants, specifically the tourism sector as well, while some sectors have been able to recover fully and bounce back, there are some that have just simply been struggling to stay afloat and keep their doors open. So by giving them an extra year, it will allow those harder hit sectors to fully catch up and be able to repay that deadline. And we believe that that's simply fair. And again, if you took CEBA, you needed it. Many have been able to pay it off, but we're concerned about those who will very possibly have to close their doors because of this extension not being provided.
Okay, and just quickly on that note, before we let you go, what are you seeing happening to the insolvency rate right now?
So it is increasing, of course, particularly for some small businesses that were certainly hit the hardest. Again, we're going to need the support of consumers. We're asking consumers to be conscious consumers, shopping local whenever possible. Additionally, we're looking for the government to be conscious governors, making sure that they're not adding to the already increasing cost of doing business, to make sure that we're mitigating these financial impacts for our small businesses that provide so much to our communities. And hopefully, they can get through the next few years and really fully recover.
Duncan Robertson, thank you very much.
Thank you.